Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 and Tech. I'm here with my co-host Kathleen Wilson. Hey Kathleen.
Hello.
And Shane Carlson. Hey Shane.
Hey everybody.
And our guest is Emrah Gultekin from Chooch AI. Welcome Emrah.
Hey everybody.
Hey Emrah, so glad you could make it to the call today, the conversation. It sounds like we were chatting earlier, and it sounds like your company's doing some really cool things in computer vision. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it for those that aren't really that familiar with what exactly computer vision is, and then then we'll kind of get into it a little bit more detail.
Yeah, sure. Great to be on. First of all, computer vision is a part of AI. It's artificial intelligence, and we've been working on computer vision for decades now in different forms. And what we do as a company is we copy human visual intelligence into machines. If the way that you see things and how you tag them, how you see them and tag them, we copy that into a machine so that we're basically proliferating that person. So if you're a biomedical expert and you're counting cells and you're identifying cells in microscopy, we take that capability that you have and put it into a machine and proliferate it. So just creating those types of efficiencies is basically what we do with computer vision.
Excellent. So as I was perusing some of the information you guys have out there about your various products and offerings, a couple things caught my eye. I mean, first and foremost is the concept of doing some of this visioning out on the edge on IoT devices and things of that nature. And then a lot of different industry focuses. Talk to me a little bit about what has changed in the world over the last 5 or 10 years to allow you guys to start doing this complex AI video imaging analysis out on devices that are out there in the field, maybe on a factory floor, maybe in a security line, things like that. I mean, what's happening that allows you guys to be able to do that type of processing and calculations on those devices where that was a huge challenge not too long ago?
Great question, Shane. So you know that AI has been around in terms of theory for a long time, 40, 50 years in the making. We knew how to do these types of regressions back then mathematically, but actually putting them into real life, putting them into machines and having it work at scale in real time has been a real challenge. And some of the things that have developed over the years have been the GPU servers. So being able to actually have these powerful machines on the cloud, and right now, recently on the edge, has been a real revolution. And the second thing, which is a software part of it, which is relying on deep learning frameworks like TensorFlow, MXNet, Gloon, you've got PyTorch, Keras, and these types of deep learning frameworks became available to the IT ecosystem. And these are very recent developments, 4 or 5 years. And so that has made it easier to deploy, but it's not the end all. I mean, there's still lots of components that we're working on. And we think this is probably a 20 to 30 year development cycle that we're in right now.
So Emrah, Shane rattled off quite a few different industries. Interestingly enough, many years back, I actually was a hardware design engineer and started with an organization that did real-time live image processing. So it was the old school hardware design, convolutional filters, multi-order, convolutions and stuff. So just kind of, hearing you talk about this now is partly bringing me back to good memories and some very scary ones at the same time. It sounds like obviously it's advanced considerably, which one would expect. I mean, I was focused predominantly in a military space. Are you seeing any particular industry take this on more aggressively than others?
Yeah, great question. So this is like the internet in 1994, 1995. I mean, like everyone has to adopt it at some point. But who's adopting first? We're seeing a lot of traction in the healthcare industry, security, and public safety, and also government, which is a big one with geospatial, so satellite and drone imagery. These are the main ones that we're seeing tractions on, but we're also seeing traction in retail, and that's also interesting recently. So a lot of this is it's basically like a new it's a new platform for every vertical actually, but some verticals are going to adopt it quicker than others.
So I have a question because, well, I have a few questions, but one of the things is like, how quickly can some of these organizations realize the benefit from AI? Like, are we looking at like a 6 month, and I hate to use the word return on investment, but it's like more value realization. So, when adopting AI, how quickly have organizations you've worked with realized some benefit?
So that's been the challenge with these types of things, and being able to develop them and deploy them in these enterprises. We're talking about deployment periods of as quick as 1 week to deploy and use this type of AI, and some more complex use cases it could take 3 to 6 months to deploy it. So our duty as practitioners is to make it easier and easier for these enterprises to be able to adapt it. And that's really been our focus. But you're right, Kathleen. It's a difficult process, and what we're seeing is it's not even part of their workflows. So it's not like they're replacing something with something else. It's that they don't actually have anything in place right now, and you have to kind of disrupt that workflow, and that's also a challenge. So it's taking some time. It's not happening overnight. But nothing this grand and at this scale happens overnight anyway.
Well, I was surprised about how quickly the implementation timeframes were, because looking back to, a few years ago, we're talking 6 months was a minimum for most organizations to implement new technology. Sorry, Shane, you had something.
No, I was just going to ask you, what types of real world problems are you guys helping businesses and your consumers solve with this technology? And what are some good examples?
Yeah, Shane, I'm glad you asked that, because that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I think for someone kind of new into the space, it's like, hey, how exactly would I use this? If I'm in retail, how exactly would I use it in healthcare, whatever. So yeah, if you could give us some examples, I think that would be great.
Yeah. So something that everyone understands is like facial authentication. So being able to understand who that person is immediately, and then customize what you're doing based on that. So that's a simple one to understand. But we're doing lots of complex things as well, like understanding what's happening in a surgical theater. So when an operation is happening, you know all the steps, you know what's happening, and you can send alerts if there's an anomaly, or you can also share best practices with the data later. And we're doing wildfire alerts from space. That's very practical. We're doing a lot of security, flare detection, leak detection, and things that humans usually do very well visually. We're just training AI to do it so that humans don't need to do it, and you scale it basically.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the old Amazon Mechanical Turk, that they had out a few years ago. I think they actually still have it, where they would pay people small incremental bits of money to do visual identifications off, say, satellite imagery or other things. I mean, I could go out there and put a Turk out there and have people work on it and do things, and have a budget for how much I spend. And these are things that we had humans doing because they were too complex at the time, or weren't cost effective to have computer models trained to do the recognition. But at the same time, the humans were teaching those models and patterns to the AI that was behind the scenes. And it seems like collectively over the last 5 or 10 years, we've been able to take those models and build on them and make them, way better, way faster, way more effective than they've ever been. What do you see kind of as the future of where this is going, and is this going to be kind of an everyday part of our lives, would you say, kind of going forward?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're the masters of the AI. So it's important that we stay that way, and that we annotate and label images and label data properly. I think one of the problems that we're facing a lot is bias in these data sets. So even if you have like a Mechanical Turk doing something like that, you need to be careful, because it develops inherent implicit bias into these models. It is becoming part of our lives every day right now, and it's going to become more and more part of it as we move forward. We're seeing that you see that with like Google Assistant or being able to the AIs have the courage to suggest now. So they're suggesting, certain types of sentences, or there are certain types of tags, and you're seeing that more and more. We're going to see that throughout our lives.
Well, Emrah, thank you very much for joining us today. What I was really excited to hear, especially, is like AI in retail, because that's one area where, I think we could really benefit having a little bit more AI in there. So again, thank you very much for coming to share a little bit more about Chooch and the AI capabilities of your company. And we look forward to speaking to you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Kathy.
Emrah.
Thank you, Emrah.